So, we have been given a gift of wine corks. So if anybody wants one, now's the time. Thank you. Yeah. So grab one. These are perfect. Right? So this is how it works. Hello, how are you? Have you ever seen a deal without kisses we white wolf? Right? Yeah, and you do things like that. You do what didn't I show you guys? I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears. Or you just read something. But also practice your presentation with the cork, and it will make a huge difference for. Okay, it's going to take me a minute to adjust. Okay. You don't want to take this cork. Right, that's been in my. I was in a class one time and I put my water down, I was drinking water bottles, and I was drinking and I put it down and I forgot where I put it, so I reached over and grabbed the bottle, and this student looks at me and she goes, "Dude," because I was drinking her wine. And then I said, "Spencer, I might have been you." Oh, no, I know what it was. I took a drink of her water. And she was like, "Dude." And I went, "Oh, is that yours?" She goes, "Yeah." I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I gave it back to her. And she looks and she goes, "Really?" Okay. It's one of those things. Oh, my gosh. All right. So, presentations today. We're going to be doing presentations kind of every day between now and the end of the semester. So, I'm going to get to everybody. Now, we sent a note out asking you, the more I thought about it, I felt like that it was, look, I was talking to the Associate Dean about this in this class. I think I shared this with you. I really feel this course should be pass or fail. Because I don't think it's really fair to grade people on presentation skills. Because some people come by it naturally, right? Some people come by it not so much. Some people are more nervous than others, right? And we're all trying to learn and get better and grow. So ideally, you would measure the progress that somebody has made. But that's challenging with this many students in a class like this over a semester. If you do it in a week, you can kind of see that and measure that. So the more I thought about it, I don't want you being nervous about your presentation skills. I want you to go up there and be as comfortable as you can be to practice some of the things we've talked about in here. So then how do we create a grade then? And that has to be over preparation and effort. And look, that's a lesson for you when you go out into the workplace. It's not just the results that matter. I mean, results matter, of course. But when you're thinking about giving people raises and promotions, if you just focus on results, you're missing a whole lot of the equation. Because does effort matter? Well, I think I said this in the leadership class the other day. I don't think I said it in here, but let me give you, how many of you know who Carl Lewis is? Okay, who is he?
He was an Olympian. He was a track star Olympian. I don't know if he's still is he still coaching here? Or?
He may still be, but he went to the University of Houston. He was an absolute all-star. He's one of our most famous alums we've ever had. Really remarkable person. He's fast. At one time, the fastest human being in the world. Hey, Mr. Italy, right? Come see me right after class, just for a second. You're not in trouble. Just something I've been meaning to do. So DeAndre, this guy's fast. He runs the 100 meters. I mean, he held the world record. He was the fastest person in the world for a long time. But let's do this. Let's say that there's going to be a race. Somebody's going to race Carl Lewis in the 100 meters. And let's say Carl's best time in the 100 meters was 10 seconds. It's probably better than that. But whatever, let's just say 10 seconds is best time. Let's say in the 100-meter race, Carl gets down to the finish line in 12 seconds. He could skip the 100 meters and make it in 12 seconds. That's how fast he is. But let's say the person he was competing against, that he was running against, got to the end in 13 seconds. Who won the race? Carl Lewis won the race, right? Carl Lewis gets the gold medal. Carl Lewis gets the prize. But what if I told you the other person only had one leg? Who made the bigger effort? You can't just look at results. You have to measure people's effort in the workplace. You have to. So try to hang on to that as you go out and do that. Okay, so we've asked you to create did everybody, that's why I sent that note out. Did everybody see that note? Obviously not everybody, but that's okay, because it went out late. I'm okay with that. But does everybody understand what the expectation is? Look, I don't want, somebody sent me a note, I think it was Brianna, that said, does it have to be word to word, word for word? Do I expect the paper to have your presentation word for word? No. But I expect you to create the template like we talked about in the beginning of the semester so that I know you prepared your talk in that way. Because that's what I want you to leave this course with, is having that template and the ability to create presentations that way. Because, guys, if you do that, you are 75% of the way there to a successful presentation. Everybody good? Okay. Everybody understands on the same page what we want. So given that, who want? Yeah.
I was wondering for the visual aids, how do you like because like
No, wait. Spencer, what happened to my...
remember Andy wasn't able to...
No, I talked to Gautam about this. Yeah, we're gonna put an iPad up here, because I want you to learn how to have your presentation, your slides here, not behind. I don't want you looking back here. Remember I taught you about a confidence monitor? So we were gonna mirror with an iPad.
Can we just use our laptop? Like put it there?
You can, but if you use your laptop, it won't sync with the screen. So your laptop, if you have slides, those will be different than what's on the screen. Do you see?
I mean, if I
Otherwise, you'd have to pull it up here, put it on your laptop, click here, click here. I've tried that. Trust me, it's not anything you want to do.
Gus didn't want us to make sure you put it in the
Oh, is Andy not here today? Oh, he's doing the alumni thing. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I forgot too. Andy, will you see if you can go find Colin?
Me?
Andy, Spencer.
Yeah, I can do this. I'll be back.
Thank you. Holy cow. I did something in the earlier class too. I must be tired. Don't answer that. So, does everybody remember what we talked about with regard to this? Remember, I'm trying to get you to not do this. And I'm trying to get you out from behind this so that you're here, so that you really have to focus on this.
Is there a clicker?
There is.
Oh, I haven't lost track.
Yeah, so you can do that. But I want to get the I am tired, the iPad here. Now I know why you guys drink coffee all the time. Okay, well look, let's make some progress while we're waiting for that. And let's go ahead and talk. We've got 2 additional topics that I want to cover this semester. let's go ahead and talk about, you know what, I want to keep it a little down because they're doing that alumni thing, right? Let's talk about, we've talked quite a bit about social media in here, but let's continue that dialogue for just a bit. How many of you, just remind me, how many of you are active in social? Raise your hand. Okay, are you active? Well, do you participate? How many of you are inactive on social? That you just don't participate at all?
Social media.
Social media, sorry, yes. And why are you inactive?
I just quit.
You just quit because it was distracting, or tell us why.
I looked at my screen time and it was like 5 hours, 6 hours a day.
Crazy. How many of you have that kind of commitment to it? Okay, you got to realize that that is really diluting your ability to be productive unless your plan is to be an influencer, right? If that's your plan, well, then I get it. But if not, I'd encourage you to take a long look at that because it's draining your resources, your brain power, your energy, your sleep time. It drains you. So be mindful of that. So how's it going so far that you quit?
I was pretty good. I
Okay.
could do more things like 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Josh, are you active or inactive with social?
I'm more like a watcher. I
Oh.
don't post or anything.
Okay.
I like scrolling through
Yeah.
sometimes, finding something funny.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, John?
I think it's interesting that you mentioned influencer, because at the law conference,
Uh-huh.
you had a lawyer, he went up and spoke about being an influencer and how people get paid thousands just to post something.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like a lot of money.
The whole world has changed in y'all's lifetime already, and it's going to continue to grow and change. But you also have to, this influencer thing has gotten out of hand. Yeah, they really will. They'll call and say, hey, I'm going to come stay at your hotel, and I've got 1,000 people that follow me, and but it's almost like extortion. It's like, if you don't give me this, well, then that's really, don't do that, because that's illegal. Seriously, that's extortion. So be careful about that. You know the difference. All right, so good. All right, so are most of you that raised your hand that are very active, are you doing, did you find him?
He's not there.
Oh, he's busy over here, isn't he? All right, well, okay, we'll do some, we'll manage. All right, so how many of you that do social are primarily on Instagram today? Is that primarily what you do? All right, have you kind of shifted to that? Now, how many of you have LinkedIn accounts? All right, and are you being very professional with your LinkedIn account? No, all right. What year are you guys, how far away are you guys from graduating? 1 or 2 years. You need to start thinking about these things. We talked about some of this, about you need to start thinking about your professional side, because here's the thing, a lot of that stuff never goes away once it's in cyberspace. And you need to be mindful of that. And you need to realize that recruiters are going to look at your social to the extent they can that's in the public domain to learn about you. So if you're sitting there with 18 empty beer bottles next to you, that might not be the best thing as your professional image. And you also want to be sure that you get some help with your grammar and spelling. And it's absolutely okay to get help. Look, I don't think I made you aware of this service. I discovered a service about 10, 12 years ago that is really a terrific service. It's called Scribendi. It's an online editing service. You upload your document, you send it in, and all these people do are read and edit, and they give you notes and suggestions, and they'll correct things, and it's just a fabulous service, and it's really reasonable. Especially if you give it to them with plenty of time, right? Because it gets more expensive the sooner you want it. So if you procrastinate and you got a paper and you send it in and you need it the next morning by 7, it's going to cost you. But if you can give them 2 days, I think that it's 24 hours, 2 days, 7 days, more time, then it's easier for them to do it, and it's less money. Yes.
There's also an app you can download on your laptop called Grammarly.
Grammarly's great. Yeah.
I use that all the time. Whenever I'm
me how I should say it. Awesome. No, if you have a doubt, go to your left.
Now, when you use the Grammarly, and I've gone to the Grammarly site, but I didn't know they had an app. When you use the app, do you have to ask it every time?
No,
It's
it's
automatically. You set that up in the beginning, or just because you download the app,
Yeah, it was just like.
it just
download.
does it, yeah. Okay, well, that's great
Yeah.
suggestion. Thank you. But look, remember, you can't rely on spell check. So, because you can also go to Grammar Girl. I don't know if they have an app, but I love the idea of the Grammarly app. That should be helpful. I think I'm going to download that. Thank you. But I've used Scribendi a lot.
How do you spell
Great, thank you. Scribendi. Scribendi. And you just go, you upload you decide what kind of paper it is, and you upload it. They tell you how much, how many. It depends on how many words it is. They price it that way, and how fast you want it, and that's the two criteria for pricing. And then you put your credit card in, and boom, they do it, and you get it back. And it's really terrific because they give you notes and suggestions and things. And so I think you'll get a lot out of that if you use it. But my point is about social is it important that you have, once you get in the world, is it important that you communicate in a professional way? Okay, so you got to get out of your neighborhood or your peep slang. And look, it's hard to win. If you want to play in the game, you have to wear the uniform. And I'm not saying don't be a rebel. I'm not saying don't be a maverick. I'm not saying don't go against the grain. I'm all about that. But I would encourage you to at least recognize what the uniform is and make a conscious decision of, yes, I'm going to wear it, or no, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to be a disruptor. I'm going to take the path less traveled, but just realize there are consequences to that choice. It's just going to make your path more challenging. Doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It's just going to be more challenging. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? The path less traveled, being the disruptor. Okay. All right, good. Now, we talked early on in the semester about handling challenging communications via social. Do you remember that? We also talked about not using our phones in here. Do you remember that? All right. So, have we, over the course of this semester, dealt with challenging things in social differently? Lizzie, have you had, I remember you were the one that brought one of the things up. Have you had those experiences since we talked about them?
Yes, Phil. It happens all the time.
It happens, and are you handling it differently?
We talked about ghosting when it is okay.
Okay, and not okay? Yeah?
Not engaging.
Right.
That kind of negativity is, in my opinion, is just the best way. Because then actually what I've recently been dealing with is, I'll ghost them. I'll be like, hey, little mom, you looking fine. I'll ghost them. I'll be like, oh, you ain't all that anyway.
Ah, they come back.
Their attitude changed just like that.
Right. And that tells you what?
That they're trash.
That's exactly it. You're not interested in that. How many of you think that just not engaging is the best approach? Raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to agree. I think that's appropriate, but I think you take that not engaging not just around social, but in other forms as well. If somebody says something unkind to you or something you don't like, do you have to engage in that? No. What forces us or drives our engagement when that happens? Ego. It's our pride. And look, it's hard to walk away. It's hard. But I'm going to encourage you to try. Because if you disengaging or not engaging on social when nobody's next to you, that's pretty easy compared to disengaging and walking away when somebody's right there or other people are standing around you. That's challenging. Yes, Sammy?
I
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sure, I understand,
So,
yeah.
like, I think sometimes we forget that we can, like, take that skill, because that's a skill. Like, a lot of people can't handle that.
Yeah.
And we can apply it to other areas of our lives.
I think that's a very good point. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, ma'am.
Whenever you mentioned ghosting, how do you deal with employers that ghost you after you send an application? One of the biggest things is nowadays they don't even tell you they're not considering you for the application and you don't know if you should be like applying for more jobs.
Here's the thing. I think that's a great question. It's a great question. First of all, again, like we talked, some people don't like it when some people do not text them back or they don't answer right away. Same concept. You cannot take that personally. Look, you have to realize that if you want to be peaceful and productive in your life, you have to recognize there are things you have control over and things you don't have control over. And you want to focus all your time and energy on the things you have control over. And you want to forget about the things you don't have control over. The more you think about things you don't have control over, the more spiraling you're going to do. And you'll notice there's one thing in here we have about our internal dialogue, our internal communication. We're going to talk about that another day. But that's all part of it. You just can't take that personally. Now the second half, and look, more and more employers are not responding. But I encourage you, if you're an employer and you're trying to hire people, I encourage you to respond. And at least say thank you very much for your submission. If you don't hear back from us, it's because we've gone with a different candidate or a different direction. The second question that you asked, though, how do I know to keep applying? You always apply. You never stop. You never stop until you get that offer letter and you decide to accept it. Because what do we have control over? We have control over the applications we're submitting. Do we have control over their decision? No, not one bit. You focus on what you have control over and you keep applying. Because you never know. Help? Okay. Other questions around? I really don't have a whole lot more to say around social, except that, look, if you're not familiar with social, you need to get that way. You need to understand how powerful communication tool is. I'm not saying you have to use it, but you need to understand how powerful it is from a business perspective. Do you guys understand all of that? So if I asked you to do a project and I said, I want you to create a social campaign, a social media campaign to open a restaurant, could you do it?
Yes.
All right, well, let's just do it real quickly. What's the first thing you have to think about if we did that?
Brand. Like a brand.
You've got to think about your brand.
What do you want to put out there?
Well, what do you want to put out there? But help somebody say it. Target market. You've got to identify your target market. Does every social media hit every market? No. If you wanted to hit older people not so young people like me, what would you use? Facebook. Right. Well, that's right. True. If you wanted to hit people your age, what would you use? Twitter, Instagram, right? Snapchat. Exactly. And would you use influencers or would you do it yourself? Both. You cannot underestimate the power of influencers today. You have to realize that. Look, there's a reason the Kardashians get money.
Yeah, Kendall Jenner got paid like $200,000. Kendall Jenner got paid like $200,000 for like that one picture on Fire Festival, just like her in a bikini at the beach.
Yeah, and Kim Kardashian recently did an interview saying that this brand offered her $1 million just to post something about them, like and wearing like their shoes or something, and it was $1 million.
It was Adidas.
Was it Adidas?
Yeah, they were kind of doing like an easy knockoff. So
Yes,
that's why she didn't accept $1 million.
because her husband, it was like a competitor of her husband, so like he appreciated it and he wrote her a check for $1 million and made her like co-owner of his company.
Listen, the point is you have to realize there are opportunities today that didn't exist before your generation. And more are going to come your way, and you have to be open to them. And there's great opportunities to create careers in this space. You have to understand it, though. You have to understand today's search engine optimization. If I say that to you, do you know what SEO is? What's SEO? My friend in the back with a hat on backwards. Search engine optimization. What is it?
Would it be,
I like the way you did that. I saw a cartoon the other day. A guest came out to the front desk and said, "I've forgotten what room I'm in." And the front desk agent goes, "Sir, this is called the hotel lobby." Yeah, think about it. Okay.
I mean, would it be just like, I mean, I guess Google? Or-
Okay, well, Google depends on SEO. But who knows? Michaela?
It's kind of like putting your name like closer to the top of the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Search engine optimization is when somebody does a search, you're optimizing it so your brand comes first, or second, or third, or at least the top 10. How many of you will not even go to the second page of your search? Okay, that's why it's so important. And people, that's how Google gets paid. That's one of the key ways they make money is people, you can do paid search, right? And your name will come up if you're paying Google, but it's expensive because sometimes you can pay, depending upon the popularity of the term, you might pay a penny per search and per placement, and you might pay $7. So you got to think about that. If there's 7,000 searches and you're paying $7 a search, and you come up number one, that's $49,000. But if you're selling shoes, for $300 a pair, and you think you're going to get 1% of that or 10% of that market of the searches, they're going to, what do we call that when somebody clicks on a search and actually does a transaction? What do we call that? Engagement is when somebody retweets or comments on your social post. What do we call it when you actually make a sale? What? Close? That's what we say outside of social. But on the web, it's a different word. A microtransaction is a way we discuss that. But what I'm talking about, that's the sale. That's the actual sale, that's the close. But what do you call it when somebody that you encounter on social or on the web actually buys something? You call that a conversion. You had a conversion. And conversions, that's a big statistic. Look, you have key point indicators. What are KPIs? Key point indicators. You have key point indicators, whether it's in your normal business, whether it's in your social or your website business. What are the key point indicators of a website? Traffic. How many eyeballs? How many users are coming to your site every day? Now, is it just users that you want to know about? Or do you break that down, Jonathan? Two? Well, you want to know, first of all, you want to know if they're unique users, right? Or if the same person comes to your website 18 times in an hour, do people that are selling on your website, is that important to them? No, they want to know unique visitors, because each one is a separate customer. If it's the same person coming, if you pay somebody to sit there in your office and go to your site 100 times an hour, so all of a sudden you got 1,000 visitors a day, and you go out to your people that you're trying to get to advertise on your site, and you say, I got 1,000 visitors a day, what's the first thing they're going to ask you? They're going to ask you, are they unique visits? And there's a thing called Google Analytics that breaks down your visitors. They break it down whether same visitor, unique visitors. They break it down to where they're from, as Jonathan mentioned. Right? If you've got 48,000 visitors, but 47,500 of them are from Russia, and you're trying to make sales in San Diego, is that a good market for advertisers? No, and so it's important to know where this traffic is coming from. Can bots influence your traffic? What's a bot? It's a computer. It's the auto-programmed computer that's reaching out, and they just ping, 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 so it shows it. But if you have a lot of bots coming to your website and they automatically go away, that's an analytic that they want to know about. Did they spend any time on your website? It's called the bounce rate. All right, if you've got a real high bounce rate for your website, what does that mean? It means either people are coming to your homepage and they don't like it and they're going away, they're not going into the site, they're not checking on anything, or you've got bots trying to hit it and they're just bouncing away because it's not what they want. But your stay rate, how long people are on your website, makes a big difference. If you're an advertiser, if the average length of stay on a site is 15 seconds, do you want to advertise there? But if somebody's average length of stay is 3.5 or 4 minutes, that means they're checking around. They're reading. Those are customers you want to be in front of, assuming that site attracts your target market. Right? So those types of things. And it's just as important on the social side. If you want to reach this, if you want to help create buzz for this restaurant, you need to first identify the target market, as Jennifer pointed out, and then you want to identify the media that hits that market, like we did a minute ago, and then you want to craft your message. But you also, Kayla, have to think about, do I want to do it directly or do I want to pay an influencer to do it? Because here's the thing, the influencer already has your market. And yes, it may be $8,000. And you might spend $3,000 on your own social campaign, but you might not get the number of impressions that influencer can do like that. And you don't have to spend any time on it other than crafting the message. So there's real value in the influencing community, but you want to spend your money wisely. Now on the flip side of this, there are bad sides to the internet as well. If you're in the hotel industry, what do you constantly have to be careful about? What is it? Say it out loud. Reviews can be a problem, right? But that's kind of, it is. People put up false reviews, or they get angry, and so they write bad things instead of solving it. So hopefully it's enhanced our customer conflict resolution techniques, because we know we got to solve it before they leave. Actually, before they get to their phone or their iPad. Maddie?
It also creates personal branding issues because sometimes when people are confrontational, they start videotaping you and posting it on social media.
Yep.
And that can immediately ruin both your personal brand as well as the company that you work for.
I think it's a fair point.
That's the whole story.
You got to remind yourself every day, is this the behavior I want 1 million people to see? Because they can today. And you can be being videoed at any time. Now, if you don't know it, that could be an invasion of your privacy, and we could talk about the remedies for that. But money's not going to take away the reputation concept. That, look, a lie is halfway around the world typically before the truth gets its boots on. So be cautious about that. Gossip used to be vicious. Today it's atrocious because of the extent of the damage it can do. Kathy? Already answered it. Okay. So you need to be thinking about these things today. It's a different world. My friends, they thank the Lord every single day they weren't alive when social media was going, or they weren't young when social media was going on. Some of them need to still wish that. But let me get back to the hotel concept with this search engine optimization. Why is that such a problem for a hotel? The OTAs, what have they done? They pay for it. They hijack your keywords. If you guys want to learn, if you're curious about this, just Google Google's keyword search tool. So if you want to promote something, how do you know what words you want to use? Because that's crucial. Well, you go to that search tool and you put in the words you're thinking about using, and Google will tell you how often that term has been used, or that word has been used in searches. but it will also make suggestions for other words. And then it's going to try to sell you on paid search. But you don't have to do that. But it's all these algorithms that they come up with to help determine that. But look, guys, from a communications perspective and getting the message across, you have to understand the power of social media. It's big, impactful. If you tweet something and nobody retweets it, all right. But if they do, then all of a sudden you've reached what? People you've never reached before, because somebody is reaching their followers, not just your followers. That's one of the reasons, one of the companies I'm involved with, we got success early on in social. I just had a kid that said, hey, let's try this. I went, what? Try what? He goes, just try Twitter. I said, what? This was like 12 years ago when it first came out. And he said, yeah, come on, let's do this. And I said, sure, why not? I said, how much are you going to charge me? He told me. I went, what? I said, I don't think so. He goes, this will create awareness of the business. And I said, man, I don't know. I said, let's try it for a month. He said, okay. We tried it for a month. We had 10,000 people following us in the first month. I couldn't believe it. I said, kid, you are underpaid. And he went on, he worked for us, and we grew together and learned more about social. And now he's out. I bet he's getting paid 12, 15 grand a month, maybe more than that, to do social for the Fortune 1000 companies. He got hired away by a company from us to do that full time for them when they were a startup, and then he went out on his own. So his income now is probably 30, 40K a month doing social for companies. I know you guys, I know. Listen, you're not the only ones that go, I should have studied social. Nicholas.
How much do you think the Wendy's social media person?
Tell me what I'm missing.
They're very interactive.
Are they? Oh, and they troll and they do all that?
They put out a whole mixtape.
Seems like I read something about that. It's powerful, isn't it? Look, how many of you have participated or seen that? Wendy's, raise your hand. That's pretty strong penetration. But look, here's the other thing. Remember when I asked you guys, how many of you have cable? I don't think anybody in here raised their hand, maybe 3 of you. So it just becomes, and that's the way people in my generation would hear about things, or they'd read the newspaper. Today, it's got to be totally different. I don't know what they make. You should Google it. Somebody Google it real quick. What does the Wendy's social media person make?
Oh, I was
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say what you were just saying with like news. When 2 years ago, when there was like a stabbing at UT, working with UT, and I was giving him better news from Twitter than
He was getting. Yeah, because it's what? It's instantaneous. News cycles today are 24-hour news. If it's 24 hours late, that's not newsworthy anymore. When you go on Google and you're searching for something, it'll tell you, posted 10 minutes ago, posted 2 hours ago. Well, which one are you going to open? The 10-minute. And Twitter, and that's called the wisdom of the crowds. There was a great book called The Wisdom of the Crowds. You want to get information from lots of different sources. And sometimes on Twitter, you get it from people that were in the incident. Like the best news is the video on the airplane. Right? Rather than a third-party witness of it. Lizzie?
I was gonna say, like,
It's freezing in here. I'm sorry, guys. We haven't solved that yet, have we?
going back to the cable thing, y'all should know, because it's everywhere, that Disney's remaking a live-action Lion King. And now they're not putting the trailers and the previews on actual cable anymore. They're like only putting them online and on streaming platforms
Yeah.
like Hulu. It's not like on regular cable. Like I
No.
was watching something the other day. They said I was watching Hulu and a commercial came on for it, like new trailer online now. And it's saying like
Yeah.
on cable online.
Yeah.
Like, you
No.
have to, like, log in.
That's where everything's going. Plus, it's less expensive. Look, you advertise in the Super Bowl, it's $1.5 million for 30 seconds. Well, if you put that commercial, and you might reach, what, 20 million people or something that are watching, maybe 80 million, I don't know what it is. But if you get a hot video on YouTube, I mean, Taylor Swift can get 100 million views, right? Is she not popular anymore? Okay. I thought maybe I brought somebody up that was passé. But that's the thing. There's so many ways to get your message out today. You have to realize this today. And look, you just don't look at it from that marketing perspective. You look at it from your career perspective. There are lots of opportunities out there if you're good at it and you understand it and you can read what people want. Stay involved with the trends. But you got to be a little ahead of the trends as well. So I hope you'll do it. Was there another comment on that? Mm-mm. Well, I just want to finalize this thought about the hotels because this is going to be an issue for many of you. When they hijack Hilton, it'll be Hilton, Houston, Booking.com. Well, but when you open it up, it looks like Hilton. And so you book it thinking you're booking on Hilton, and then you get to the hotel and you don't get your points, and something goes wrong, and the Hilton people say you have to do what? You got to go talk to Booking.com. You got to go talk to Travelocity. And the customer doesn't know about it. And so they get alienated from the brand, and then the brand doesn't get the full room night, right, charge because they got to pay a commission to the booking agency. So it's a real problem. You got to be mindful of this, Sammy. I think it is, and the hotels think it is, but so far they have not been successful in the courts stopping it completely. It's been better, but not totally. Just do your own searches and check it out, and Google the Holiday Inn in Houston and see what comes up. Yeah, because it'll be travel, because they're paying. How they do it is they just see it because it's hard. You can use the name, and then they pay for Holiday Inn Booking.com to come up. Right? So the Holiday Inn in Houston to compete with that has to do what? They got to pay more. But it's their name. So if somebody was using Sammy, to do that, and it was your name, and you created this brand, and you want it to come up, should you have to pay to come up before other people when it's actually you? And I think most reasonable people think if you own that mark or that brand, you should come up first. But so far, it hasn't worked out that way.
So they don't pay Hilton to use the word Hilton on their website?
Mm-mm. And it's not on their website. Well, it comes up in the search, right? In the terms that they use, right? And then their website, they're saying book reservation at the Holiday Inn Houston or Hilton in Houston. But no, they don't have to pay Hilton for that because it's in the public domain. Now they can, yeah, but they're not. But here's the thing: see, they're not putting themselves out as the hotel. It just appears that way to the non-detail oriented consumer.
So they use it as the location,
Not the company itself. Right. Yeah, sneaky. A lot of sneakiness in marketing these days. Has been for a long time. We just didn't know it. David?
Who would that fall on? Would it be the I guess one of the reasons why it's so difficult in the courts is because it's the search engine provider defending it more than the actual OTA? Because the search engine is providing the service?
Yeah, but it's been nearly impossible for the website owner or the search at Google or TripAdvisor to be held responsible for what their customers do. We haven't gotten to that point in the law. Yeah. And it was really hard. It took us almost 10 years to get people like TripAdvisor to take down false posts. Now they do it pretty quickly. But you've got some real problems with TripAdvisor because people are like resorts are going on and posting false reports, acting like they're a customer, and posting glowing reports, and then you find out you have sexual assaults or you have a significant amount of robberies going on, and those aren't getting the exposure that they need to get. The other ones, the glowing ones that are not necessarily real, are getting the exposure. It's a challenge. We haven't faced that. And Yelp, how many of you like Yelp? You like Yelp? I bet if you're in the restaurant business, you wouldn't like Yelp. You see that? You got to look at things from an empathic perspective. You got to look at things differently. It's the yin and the yang. Lizzie?
I check on Yelp to make sure my servers are doing what they're doing.
Yeah. You look on there because otherwise it'll show up, right? You get that. Look, you have to pay attention to social today for feedback.
Customers will name them by name.
Yeah.
Like, he was really good or she sucked.
That's a great point. Maddie, give me 1 second to address that. If you go on Yelp or TripAdvisor and you get a bad post, what do you want to do? You want to respond, but how?
With a direct line of support.
Please email me or call me and I will work with you to make it right.
Yeah, Ryan, you said a direct line of support. Yeah, how can we help you? How can we solve it? But here's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to argue. You just flat don't want to argue. You're not going to win the argument. You don't want to come across as defensive. Now, and the way to do it is just to respond kindly and say, wow, it looks like we didn't meet your expectations this visit. Please give me a call, or I think what Ryan said is very good. You want to get it off of social media so that 1 million people aren't watching the conversation. And you sign it. We'd love to visit with you about how we can do it differently in the future and have you back. Something like that. Be empathic and apologize. So, wow, really sorry we didn't meet your expectations. Let's talk about this so we can do it differently in the future. It's much better than going, I can't believe you said that. It didn't happen this way. You're lying. You're going to lose that argument in cyberspace. Yes, ma'am.
When I worked at Jimmy Chonga's, if our name was mentioned in a good review, they would give us like a $25 reward. It's like incentive to the servers to like do better.
Yeah. But did anybody split that money with their friends to give them a review? In other words, if you did.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a thing until
Yeah.
somebody told me.
I'm just saying, I think it's a good idea. You've just got to be mindful of that. You got to connect all these dots today. Maddie.
One of the bad things is that you can actually have Yelp or similar applications or websites like that on your payroll have the negative comments deleted. Like
Yeah.
whenever you look at a restaurant and your comment randomly disappears, it's because the companies can now control who comments what, so you can never actually post it.
That's interesting. I'm not aware of that level of control in there. On Yelp, you said? Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I am aware of companies that will monitor anytime a post has been made, anytime there's a mention, good or bad, they'll let you know. So you don't have to sit there and scan it all day long yourself. Yeah. Okay. Well, good conversation. I hope you walk away with some value around social, because there's real career opportunities, but also great marketing opportunities for your business if that's what you decide to do. So, I don't have the setup that I thought we were going to have today. Now, is anybody prepared to go today that's not using slides? Okay. Do you want to go? Okay. Alice will go, Queenie will go, and we'll get a couple of under our belts. Alice, you go first. Come on. Okay. Lizzie, you want to go?
We can't use our slides though?
I'd rather you wait till next time.
Can we turn these in then? I feel like I'm not busy.
You know, you can turn it into me if you want. Give it to Spencer, he'll hang on to it. Much better chance of him hanging on to it than me.
I brought a visual aid today.
Okay.
So I want to introduce you guys to my friend.
Uh-oh.
His name is Bob. And Bob is currently not doing so well at the moment. I think he's about to die, but it's okay. Because I don't know how to grow plants. But I really love them, and I think I got that from my mom. Whereas I can barely keep a plant alive for the life of me, my mom is the plant whisperer. Everything she touches just flourishes, and I don't know how she does it, honestly. But we have a garden at home on a rooftop, and that's where she grows all of her favorite plants. And I remember my favorite thing to do when I was little was just go up there with my brother, and we'd water all her plants at night. Funnily enough, her gardening taught me a lot of things about life. She taught me how to be methodical and patient, because I would watch her go through every single plant every day without fail. She'd check on them, she'd fertilize them, she'd water them, she'd make sure they were okay. She taught me how to be kind. She sings to her plants, which is kind of weird, I know, but she says it helps them grow. And if she treats her plants like that, you can probably imagine how caring of a person she is. And I think the most important thing is it's taught me how to care about the little things in life. Because to this day, she still maintains that her biggest dream is to retire and start her own vegetable patch. And even though I'm halfway across the world, she'll still send me emails and daily updates about her plants, which is kind of fun. So, Bob is looking kind of sad right now, but I'm gonna try my best to keep him alive, because Bob reminds me of my mom and her vegetable patch, and he reminds me of home.
That's great. Nice posture. Kept her hands still, right? Did a good job with that. Eye contact. Very good. Vocal. Nice variety. Vocal. Good. Spencer.
Alice.
She goes by Alice. It's Alice in the role too, though? It's Alice in the role too. Yeah. Okay. Queenie, you want to go?
Is it alright if I set up the video?
Is it just a video, or is it PowerPoint?
It's just a video.
Just a video. Yes. Yeah. That's yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I think that works.
Hold on, let me say this, y'all get your attendance.
Yeah. How much time do you guys spend on YouTube? A lot. And so when you're on YouTube, what are you looking for? Distractions. But I mean, what do you search? What are you searching for? What?
I use YouTube to learn like other subjects.
Okay.
Technology.
Yeah.
I watch videos on computers.
On that kind of thing. Okay. What does everybody else, Monica, what do you look for? Do-it-yourself type projects. What else are you looking at YouTube for, though? Music? No? Come on.
I usually watch like random videos, but now I'm just like looking for
Tony Robbins and listen to him. Okay, very good. Travel blogs. Vlog. Sorry, thank you for that. That's very helpful. Nicholas?
Catching up on Game of Thrones.
They'll show the episodes?
No, I'm just watching like skits.
Oh, different segments of it. Yeah? Okay. Interesting. Queenie, are you ready? I don't think that's going to do it, Queenie, and I'm not sure I know how, but hold on. You want to start it over? I don't know if it's going to come out as I thought. We might want to pick it up here, but maybe not. Probably a volume control. Spencer, or is there a volume on the computer? Look, you see that speaker? See if you can click on the speaker right there, right there. Yeah, there you go, and move that up there. See if that does it.
butt cheeks, nothing else.
And it hasn't changed over.
No, it hasn't.
No.
There's many different variations depending on what it's for. Usually the only thing that changes is if the hands is up, it means it's asking the gods for something like rain or good harvest. But if the hands is down, it's typically like a celebration for the earth. And I don't know, but with the class, I want to see if Professor Barth wear the G-string. Yes.
No!
Raise your hand.
No! Queenie?
Just try.
Yeah. What am I trying?
Just wear this one. That's it. You don't have to strip or anything.
Oh! The dean's right next door. This will be good.
Hold it.
Hold it.
What if it's in real life?
Great, like this. And then we come up this way.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm holding this.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Do not get your cell phones out. John, did you already take a picture?
No.
You thought about it?
Honestly, I did.
Okay,
It's
good.
interesting, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
yes. Holy cow. Queenie. I want to start talking like this. Oh, let it down.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, all right. This is really
I
don't
kind
video
of wish
this.
I brought the gongs, but they were heavy.
No.
So for the girls, it's basically the hands are supposed to be their feet go
Yeah,
up and back.
yeah. Up and back.
Yeah,
Up
and for the
and back.
men, they hold the gongs and they're just like
Oh, I
popping.
can do that for sure. I can do
So
that.
there we go.
Have to wear this around school today? No, don't answer that. Okay. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very cool. So this is on YouTube? You guys watch this stuff on YouTube? Every day. Jonathan, you're a YouTube guy? Yeah? What do you watch?
Also just like
Poker videos. Oh, you're a Texas Hold'em person?
no, I just watch it. For now.
Ah, okay.
I can't legally get
Listen, speaking of, no, I can't tell you that, never mind. All right. We have time for one more. Who would like to go? Okay, let's just go right here, if that's okay. I think we just have time for one. And I apologize, your name is?
Brianna.
Brianna, yeah. Okay.
So who here wants to open up their own business one day? Awesome. Anybody started yet? Okay, cool. Anybody have any ideas of what they want to do? Awesome. I think entrepreneurship is so cool because you practically just make your own thing. This is my book that I just write down every idea that I get in it. Even if it's stupid, I write it in pen so that way I can't erase it. So that way I have it forever. So that way maybe one day I can make it a good idea. So I can't start now on my business because I'm broke, but it doesn't hurt to start planning. So I don't like reading, but I have 2 books by Mike Michalowicz that have really helped me kind of learn how to do what I can now to start a business in the future. So the first book is The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. It sounds weird, but the metaphor is, it's a little bit descriptive, but if you're on the toilet and you're going number 2 and you have 3 sheets of toilet paper left, what are you gonna do? So a toilet paper entrepreneur is, you have to make what you have work for you. So you're gonna take what you have, use it, make it work. So in this book, one of the cool things that stood out to me is that they don't recommend doing a business plan. I know it kind of like goes against everything we've learned, but they recommend doing a prosperity plan instead. Because a business plan, you make it, you create it, and then it sits on the shelf and collects dust. You really don't look back on it, you don't change it, it's just there. A prosperity plan is your vision. It's everything you stand for. And so in the book, they said it should make you cry. So you read it, you're like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. It's really cool. The second book is Profit First. So I probably shouldn't mention this book, but it's also by Mike Michalowicz, but it kind of goes against every single accounting thing that we've learned. So instead of sales minus expenses equals profit, no. The generally accepted accounting principles goes against human nature. So this teaches you to take your profit first and then deal with your expenses. I can't really talk much on it, you have to read the book. But it teaches you how to profit from day one. When I went to a think tank, it was a baking think tank, and I love to bake. And one of the women who created her own company has been profiting since day one of her company because of this book, which I thought was really cool because I'm so terrified to open a business and fail. So that's why I'm trying to do as much as I can now in order to hopefully have a successful business in the future. So I'm not telling you not to use everything you're learning in school now, but take everything you're learning and use it to the best way that works for you and be creative with it.
Very good, thank you. I think it's terrific that you guys are learning and seeing things that are different than what's taught. I think that's important. I think you want to look at things from different perspectives. And I love that first one about the prosperity plan instead of a business plan. And I love the fact that they said it should make you cry.
Right.
Because that means you've really dug deep and decided what's important to you. Very cool. The second one I got to wrap my head around. But I like it. I like the concept, but I think from an ethical standpoint, they're not saying stiff your creditors.
No.
They're just saying pay yourself first.
Right.
Yeah, now look, that's a crucial rule if you're going to do a startup. You have to pay yourself first because you have to pay your bills. So if you raise money from other people for your business, you have to put in a salary for yourself. Or you have to have some outside revenue to sustain yourself with your rent, your car, your expenses, or you won't survive. You cannot run a business and worry about paying your rent. You can't do that. So you have, the rule that I learned, I heard it a little differently, pay yourself first. And I think that's a good rule to follow. All right, very good. Man, these are great. Great to start. How many of you learned a lot from those 3 presentations? I did too. And did you also learn about presentations? Good. All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to obviously go into these quicker. Now listen, I think I told you already, we have a work day set on the schedule, but we're not going to have that work day, right? We're going to be meeting between now and the end of the semester. If we get closer to the end and we wrap up the presentations, we'll call it a day and give you some time off to do some other things. But I need to get everybody through the presentations, okay? Good stuff, everybody. Say thank you and love for everybody else. Really good. Thanks, guys. Yes, let me have that. Or you actually give it to Spencer if you will.
Okay.
That'd be great. I've got some other papers I got to keep track of. Queenie.